How many of you have seen this logo more than once? How many of you know where the arrow is in the FedEx logo? Put your hand up. So for those of you who do know, don't know, the reason is because you don't have the neural patterns of recognition. But as soon as you make a neural pattern, then your brain always finds the patterns that are common within the network. If the pattern doesn't exist here, you will not see it out there. Does that make sense? You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. As you are. The architect of this brand put a small little measuring spoon in the FedEx logo. Now, how many of you know where the measuring spoon is? Now, why don't you know where the measuring spoon is? Because nobody has ever exposed you to that pattern. All it is pattern on a screen that's doing what? Shining its light through your eyes into your brain. Your brain's looking for any associations, any information that resonates with what I just said. And if the image doesn't exist there, you just go, I don't know. So here's what I want you to do. Simple instructions of training your brain. Take a look at the other spaces, okay, in white within the FedEx logo. Watch how fast you will see it. When you set a vision and you embed that vision in your brain, even if it's an image of what you want to achieve, your brain will then work for you to find everything in the physical world that matches the vision. The people, the places, the reasons, the money, the resources. Why do you set goals that you haven't yet achieved? Why do you set goals you don't yet know how to achieve? Because as soon as you impress that vision into the implicit part of your brain by activating the occipital lobe, the visual cortex of the brain, your brain starts to look for things in the physical world that match the internal map that's been created for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, whatever amount of time you've been here. Does that make sense? Why do you set a goal you don't know how to achieve? You don't need to know how to achieve goals initially. The people who achieve 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 100 times more success than you don't have any skill. Every brain is born the same, conditioned and trained differently. As soon as you set a goal, even if you don't yet know how to achieve it, the first thing that happens when you commit to a goal, dopamine is released in the brain, and that motivational circuit, the nucleus accumbens and the insula, fire on, and dopamine gets released in the brain. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do that, man. And then if you share it with somebody else, you know what happens? Another chemical, there's 100 of them in the brain, and another chemical called oxytocin, the bonding and love chemical, actually binds that vision into the visual cortex, part of your brain. And if you repeat that, you keep focusing on that vision, you keep sharing it with people, you collaborate with people, even if you don't yet know how to achieve it, you actually start to cement this vision into a part of your brain that activates another part of your brain called the left prefrontal cortex. And the reason I want to get a little mechanical with you right now is because it's your freaking brain. And if you don't know how to use it, you will not succeed. So I want to give you some real tools of why, A, I want you to dream big, but I also want you to become better at managing this 3-pound tool, which is nothing more than a tool you have. It's in your toolbox. And it'll help you achieve anything you want, or it'll destroy everything you want. And so the step one, okay, to achieving anything is seeing somewhere in the distant you actually achieving it. How to achieve any goal. How to achieve any goal comes after you set the goal. So the how initially is more important than anything else. Why? Because that is the first step to activating the motivational circuit of the brain. And you want to get the system. The brain is a holistic system that works together. If you don't do things in the right order, that's like having the combination to a safe, but you just don't have the right combination sequence. I'm going to give you the sequence that you need. And the reason you have to set goals is your brain is actually a goal-seeking tool. If you give it something to go for and after, then you actually are activating the genius part of your brain called the left prefrontal cortex. And there's two cortexes I'll talk to you about that are critical to you. There's one part we call as the Einstein part of your brain. And Einstein figures out how it can. How can I do this? How does this work? And when Einstein is on, all possibilities exist. But when Frankenstein, the right prefrontal cortex, lights up, Frankenstein goes, no, you can't. You're not smart enough. No, you can't. You tried this before. Where does all that negative self-talk come from? First and foremost, let me help you understand something. All of your negative self-talk and thoughts are coming from your memory bank. Let me explain what that means. The brain's number one function. Number one, safety. Safety. So obviously life safety first, but anything that is processed in the brain that threatens either your financial stability, your emotional stability, your business stability, your relationship stability, your health stability, anything gets filtered through this part of the brain first and brings forth as the default setting in your brain. The default setting in your brain is negativity first for safety. It's just to make you aware that maybe last time you tried and failed. There are thoughts that propel you forward, right? And there are thoughts that propel you backwards, right? And there are emotions that are very, very favorable and move you forward, and there are emotions that stop you dead in your track, right? Whose thoughts are they? Whose emotions are they? Whose body is it? Yours, right? So some of the tools that you want is you want to know how to activate that left prefrontal cortex. And one of the best ways to activate the left prefrontal cortex is, I know I haven't achieved that goal, but how can I? I know I haven't achieved that goal, but who would know? I know I don't have the resources to achieve that goal, but who has them? If you shift the focus of what your brain is doing, you shift how your brain works. And the neurons, the brain cells that fire together will wire together. So if you have more positive thoughts, sequences of more positive thoughts, sequences of asking the right questions, sequences of finding out how you can, that becomes your new default setting. Even though the brain always has and always will give you the default negative potential consequence first. Now, when that part of the brain lights up, as I'll show you a little bit later, then the motivational circuit shuts right down and the fear circuit activates for safety first. For safety first. Nothing wrong with the system. Most people just don't know how to use it. We don't have to figure out any of the how. You want to get healthier? Is there enough research today for everybody in this room to get 10 or 20% healthier in the next 90 days? Is there enough information in the world today on how every one of you can make an extra 30% income in the next 90 days? Is there enough information on how we can run a marathon or how we can put a probe on Mars today? Is that information available in health, in wealth, relationships, career, business, finances, fun, experiences? Is all the how for most of us already here? That's not your problem then. That's not your problem. So if you're thinking, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? You don't need to know how to do it. Get aligned with what the hell you want to trade your life for. Find your big why. All right, get emotionally attached to it. Develop the beliefs that you need to. If the beliefs that you have are based on your parents, your teachers, and everything around you, can you take a belief like I am worthy and I can achieve any goal I set my mind and heart to? Can you take that word pattern and repeat it and get it into the brain often enough that it becomes a predominant pattern in your life? Say yes or yes. Change the inner game. There's a pattern that's being reflected. That's called your thoughts and your beliefs and your behaviors.